to the monologue, where it's time for...
The biggest, most insane story that no one is covering because it no longer serves a use as a phony smear against political enemies.
Gotta shorten these titles. So it's 2021, and this monologue is on the Steele dossier. Like a birthmark, this story never, ever goes away. Is that my fault? No. I would much prefer to do something on Joe Biden breaking wind at the climate summit. That breeze was so hot, Greta Thunberg asked him to stand in front of a windmill. But look, that fart was the only honest thing to come out of Joe since he became president. Too easy. Too easy. Don't applaud. No, we don't have enough time for the applause. Okay, applaud. Wait. But that's why that story was my first choice. But now, unfortunately, it's number 2. I'm not beneath anything. Nope. And why? Because now the legacy media is smothering the dossier story like it's a bedridden ant with a lot of money. But here, we're different. See, the dossier hoax is like spending the holidays with your parents. It's as important as it is soul-crushing. Because that one false manufactured story guided nearly everything the media focused on for over 4 years. And when we made fun of it, the media made fun of us, like we were in denial, when in fact it was them all along. So we need to settle a score and then run that score up like the Harlem Globetrotters playing against the Little Sisters of the Poor. So first, a recap. The Steele dossier was an anti-Trump conspiracy theory funded by the Clinton campaign. It became the #1 all things Russian smear buffet. All it needed was Boris, Natasha, and a bowl filled with poisoned borscht.
The dossier has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
The dossier, in fact, is far from bogus.
I think we're going to actually have to stop calling it the infamous dossier. Increasingly, it's the accurate dossier.
The famous dossier, which is getting a lot more credibility now.
The Republican claim today was that the dossier has been increasingly discredited. That's not true in terms of the public record about the dossier. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
They have so much egg on their face, their eyeballs need Lipitor. Still bigger than Watergate, though.
What we are watching in the Trump presidency is worse than Watergate. I keep getting asked, are there echoes of Watergate in this? And there are. We're also witnessing something we did not see in Watergate, which is a meltdown by a president who is demonstrably unhinged. What we're seeing is worse than Watergate.
Poor guy. I mean, think about it. When Watergate was your last success, you'd be bringing it up too. But it's been 50 years almost. That's like me bragging about the time I got a Lego stuck up my nose. That was 50 years ago, too. But I'm not on CNN comparing everything to that. Okay, it was last year, but so what? Then there's Rachel, whose brain snapped in 2016 like a Stella Doro breadstick.
This guy Kalimnik keeps turning up again and again. Konstantin Kalimnik, he's still Russian military intelligence. Kalimnik, a short man who goes by Kostya, this guy Konstantin Kalimnik. Konstantin Kalimnik investigating Konstantin Kalimnik for espionage. This guy Konstantin Kalimnik is the key that unlocks that door. It seems like it would have to be.
She hadn't been that excited since Supercuts dropped their clipper cut from $28 to $22. Anyway. But anyway, the Steele dossier was hyped more than the Fox Patriot Awards at the Villages.
Know it.
You know. But it turns out it was fake. How fake?
Red meat multiple choice test.
Yeah, the dossier was as fake as A, Kamala's laugh, B, our president's teeth, C, Hillary's smile, D, the Clinton marriage, and bonus option, it's as fake as the urine Kat supplies for her weekly drug test. It's the first sample they've seen that was carbonated. Now, please write down your choice on the back of a cereal box and mail it to Joe Scarborough, care of Bellevue Hospital. Now, the new indictments coming out from Special Counsel John Durham are even crazier. By the way, what is with this picture? Is this the only picture ever taken of John Durham? Could he look any more like a German U-boat commander? The scary thing is that's his 6th grade class picture. And why isn't he playing the lead in The Life and Times of Wilford Brimley? Talk about cocoon. You could wrap yourself in that stash. Sometimes I've thought about it. And if you turn his head upside down, doesn't he look familiar? All right, enough at his expense. So the indictment offers lots of new evidence, revealing that Steele's key source involved a shady guy named Igor. Igor made false statements to the FBI about his role in supplying the gossipy smears to Steele. Steele was that former British spy who worked for Fusion GPS. He's like 007, if that stood for his IQ. So was this the ticking time bomb we were promised by every blue checker on Twitter from 2016 up to 2020? Well, it was indeed a bombshell, except it went boom, boom all over them. And because of that, the story sinks like a Gambino member wearing cement shoes. Never to be seen, except on this show, because...
Gutfeld, we care about the truth, and latex goods, and also leather. We care about leather and latex goods.
Mostly. So Igor, on behalf of Hillary, helped plant the lies to fuel the collusion fairy tale. As the FBI also used Steele's work to obtain surveillance warrants. Yet, as Igor confesses, it was all based on booze-fueled hearsay from friends, which is not bad research. That's how I found out that Bigfoot had impregnated the Loch Ness Monster to give birth to Carrot Top. That's all my research. But then his real source, which was another Democratic hack, a guy whose only connection to the Kremlin is the bottle of Russian dressing in the fridge. My wife has more of a connection to Moscow. It's the poster of a shirtless Putin above our bed. In other words, this whole thing was a hoax, a malicious deception like Cat's extensions. And much like all the other hoaxes we've heard, the fine people lie, the injecting bleach, Covington, Kavanaugh, CRT doesn't exist, but white supremacy does. Well, I feel like I just wrote an outline for a new Fox Nation series, hosted by Diamond and Silk. But this dossier smear was designed to sway an election, claiming Trump was under Moscow's control because of the extortive power of blackmail. So is the media admitting to their huge error now? Of course not. The story is too huge to admit it being false. And that's why the hugest story on earth must vanish. Because it's not simply the media admitting to being wrong, it's admitting to being fundamentally deluded for over 4 years. And if there's any guiding principle to today's legacy journalism, that's it.
Period.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. Whenever he hears the word dad, he just assumes someone is trying to talk to him. Because he has a lot of kids. Fox and Friends Weekend co-host Pete Hegson. He dresses like the job he wants. 1980s stand-up comedian. Host of The Next Revolution, Steve Hilton. She's like my laundry. She smells nice, but then ends up on the floor for days. Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. And he always looks down at his fans because he has no choice. He's tall. My massive sidekick and the NWA World Television Champion, Kyrus. How you doing there, Pete? Good?
I'm doing great.
Good, good, good. You enjoy your weekend with the extra hour?
Always.
Yeah, you were super
Oh,
fit.
yeah, it's a morning show dream.
Yeah, it is.
Daylight savings
You
time.
get that extra.
Everyone else hates it. I love it.
Yeah. Kat just sees it as another hour of blacking out.
Oh, I get drunk all the time, yeah. I love drinking, drugs. I got it right?
Yeah, you got it right.
That's where you were going with that?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I thought.
All right.
Surprising I could figure that out because of all the drugs I'm on.
So, Pete, what does the silence tell you? It tells you that the media always controls the spigot, and they design what narrative they want or don't want.
Of course they do. I mean, at this point, we're at the point where I would say there's more evidence for the moon landing being faked, more evidence for 9/11 being an inside job, and more evidence for Epstein killing himself than there is of the Russian collusion.
Interesting.
Really, I mean, when you step back and look at the evidence that Durham, as goofy as he may look, is presenting. You've got Igor and Olga.
Yes.
Olga's the other source, along with this Charles Dolan.
Right.
All of which are now admitting every aspect of it was hearsay while drunk.
Right.
Or Dolan said this is he had a GOP friend who was telling these things. Then once pressed, he said, I don't actually have a Republican friend at all that told me these things.
Yeah.
So as they actually asked them the question of where they got the information, they admit it. Yet, as Donald Trump said, and he's right, where are they going to revoke any Pulitzers for this?
No, they're not. They're not.
Of course they're not.
What I got from you is that, so you're saying you believe the moon landing actually happened?
I do. Well,
Yeah, you think Epstein killed himself?
No. I'm saying there's more evidence that he did than there is that Trump colluded with Russia.
The duality of he was being sarcastic.
I was trying.
Yes, I know. I'm just.
I got it.
No, but
I felt it.
your sarcasm about the moon landing was noted. So you do believe it happened.
I do.
Which is so naive and silly. But we got to move on. That was the point I was getting at. Steve, this is not about Trump. This is not a Trump story. This is a media story. And because we're in the media, we are so quick to move on to things. We're not even talking about Afghanistan. That was, what, a month ago, maybe?
It's the media, but also the way that they're all the establishment. I know that's a phrase. Everyone's, oh, the establishment, the deep... But they are all the same thing. And you've got these people... Now, I mean, look at one aspect of this. It's a small aspect, but it was just amazing how it all fits together. Fiona Hill turns up in the middle of this story. Do you remember Fiona Hill?
Yes, of
She was
course.
like the star witness in the Ukraine impeachment thing. And so she shows up in this story. She's the one that introduced them in the first place. She's the one that introduced the Russian to Dolan to whatever. You know, and then she ends up in the Trump White House. And the whole way that all these people are just completely connected. And now she's running around as the kind of hero of the anti-Trump resistant, this fanatic. She's got a book out. When she's promoting her book, she's literally saying, if Trump wins again, it's the end of democracy. This is the key point that this makes me think of, is like, they run around saying, you undermine democracy all the time. They're the ones. This is what they're trying to do. It was an election. They didn't like the result, so they went about trying to overturn it, and yet they get to accuse everyone else. It's just like with racism, they go on calling everyone racist. They're the ones that push that.
But it all works based on our short attention spans. It's like, so you can talk about January 6th forever as long as you don't remember all of this stuff that happened before. And actually, most people, especially in the media, they don't remember it. You know, Kat, I think there was a high point to all of this, and that was the introduction of the phrase P-tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can talk about it now openly.
I was talking about it openly, and I also didn't, even if it was real, I didn't really have a problem with it.
So I thought you were going to turn that into another anti-cat tirade.
That's an exchange of goods. Why do I care?
Yeah, exactly.
Any more questions? You just want to talk about P?
No, I don't. I was just going to ask you what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it must be really nice to be able to be this wrong and this mean when you are wrong and not even like feel bad or do any self-examination. Because I do too much self-examination, I think.
Yes,
you know, I feel bad when I do things wrong. They don't. It must be nice.
Yes, it must be nice. What about you, Tyrus? Thoughts on this?
You know, I try to look at the whole, you know, they say look at the big picture.
Right.
And you look at that whole era of, you know, the dossier and the Mueller report and all the criminals that were flushed out. But they were all Democrats. Cuomo, Avenatti, Steele dossier. Like, everybody who came out to be heroes were bad guys. So, of course, the dossier wasn't real. Nothing through that entire period was real, and that's why they're not going to apologize, because they'll just say, well, it's my truth.
Right,
right. I saw it at the time.
My truth,
so
exactly.
The P-tape is such a specific thing to make
But at least the P-tape was flushed out. I mean, we got to say, that's like, you know.
Well, and it served their purpose. It was able to diminish a Trump presidency. That's all they cared about.
Mission accomplished. We now have high inflation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's literally what it is.
I'll take a P-tape over high inflation any day.
Gladly.
And sometimes I have.
And mean tweets.
Yes.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.